Hi, it's Mitch from PickDogs.com here with Ron and Chris here with your college football program for week 11, 2022. We're almost done. Just a few weeks left. We'll be doing our bowl preview. We'll be doing our conference championship preview, bowl preview, and that'll be it. We will not have an Army-Navy show.
Aww.
I don't even understand why the game's on its own day. It doesn't make sense. Used to not be. Used to be on conference championship day. It was better that way. It was the noon game on conference championship day. Anyways, interesting schedule as always this time of year. Because you have to remember that a lot of these teams don't play conference play the last game of the season. So
yeah, rivalry week, hate week.
Yes. Florida State, Clemson, South Carolina. Alabama, UTSA.
Hold me back.
Mexico State, Liberty.
Alabama plays Auburn. I like Cadillac. I like him. I think he should remain the coach. ULL against Georgia Southern. Memphis, Tulsa. Cincinnati, East Carolina. USC, Colorado. You say Cala, I say Rada. Colorado. UNLV versus Fresno State. Ron, what a great grouping of weekday games.
Yeah, lovely games. I'm going to take a lean here with Tulsa plus the points against Memphis. You know, last week, disappointing result against Tulane. The offense really wasn't there. Backup quarterback Braylon Braxton got the start as Bryn was injured for that one. But Braxton's got plenty of experience this season. He played against Ole Miss and actually got a cover in that game for Tulsa. And I do think Tulsa's run game is going to get going in this one. Memphis, you know, a very pass-heavy offense. They've been that way past few seasons. But Tulsa's secondary actually hasn't been too bad. So I think Tulsa's defense can hang around in this game. I think we catch a cover here. So give me the points with Tulsa.
Chris?
Yeah, the couple I like here. I got to be on the other side. I like Memphis. I just don't want any part of Tulsa with Davis Brin's status up in the air. If Brin goes, the Golden Hurricane have a better shot in this one, but I still think Tulsa finds a way to give this one away late. I think Memphis wins this one by 8 to 10 points. So I'll take Memphis in that one. And I do like East Carolina plus the points against Cincinnati. My hate on for the Bearcats is going to continue for another week. I think East Carolina getting a decent number of points here. I think this is a 3 or 4 point game at most. Like what Holt Nailers has done, he helped the East Carolina Pirates win 3 straight. So I got to take the points with East Carolina in that one.
Cincinnati loves these night games and stuff. The city really embraced this team, and I expect the Bearcats to come out firing for this one. Probably going to be a blackout or whatever, for this thing. I'll take the Bearcats over East Carolina, who's played some pretty good football recent weeks against good teams too. So they're due to get smacked around by Cincinnati. Usually it's the other way around. Like Cincinnati's playing well, and then East Carolina comes in, covers, screws up the cover, last second backdoor meaningless timeout with 8 seconds left for no reason to score the touchdown cover type stuff. Dirty Tricks Committee. I like Colorado against USC on the money line. I'm just kidding. That ain't gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I'll take USC money line.
There you go. That's a lock.
I'll put that on Mitch's rundown.
Yeah. I need a 15-team conservative parlay.
Okay. Easy. Easy parlay.
Lock emoji.
I like it. Safer is my favorite word. It's safer.
Is that safe?
It's a safer bet.
Safe.
I teased it just to save it.
I teased it up to USC plus 6.5.
Hey, do it. Yeah. Yeah. A 30-point teaser, so you only land the 4. I think it's a good number.
No, I can't. I gotta get it down to 2.5.
Yeah, 3 is a key number.
Outside of that, I think I'd like to see ULL lose.
Don't we all?
Duke taking on Virginia Tech. It's a lousy Virginia Tech team. The post-Frank Beamer era has not been kind to the Hokies. Kentucky against Vandy. Illinois versus Purdue. Illinois crashing down to earth last week. USF against SMU. Virginia against Pitt. Michigan State Rutgers. Navy Notre Dame. Arkansas LSU. West Virginia Oklahoma. Tennessee Missouri. Dropping line in that one. Ohio State Indiana. UConn against Liberty. Old Dominion versus James Madison. I think those teams play each other like 4 times a year. What do you think of these games, Ron?
I'm going to take Liberty, lay the points against UConn. UConn last week got a primetime spot on the Friday game against UMass, and they ended up winning and covering. But although UConn's made improvements and I think they're a program in the right direction, this is a really tough Liberty team. It's had a very tough strength of schedule. When you're an independent like both of these teams are, and you have a schedule like Liberty has, playing at Arkansas, BYU, played at Wake Forest earlier in the season. They played a really tough UAB team, and they've handled most of that schedule. Upset wins over BYU, Arkansas. They competed in that game against Wake Forest. So I think Liberty's a far better team right now, and on both sides of the ball. And that offense, once it gets going, they're scoring 30 points per game. If they get into the 30s here, I think it's enough for the cover. So you're only laying just a little bit above 2 touchdowns. I think Liberty wins it by 3 touchdowns. And right now I'm leaning towards the points with Missouri. I think Tennessee's offense, we saw last week, not as strong against a tough defense like Georgia. Now you're not facing a defense like Georgia this week, but I still think Missouri has really improved defensively. I was really surprised because last season this team was giving up 227 rushing yards per game and 5.3 rushing yards per carry. This year, 3.4 yards per carry allowed. Very strong secondary. Their defense keeps them in games. Last week, they weren't able to grab the win, but they still held Kentucky to 21 points. I think their defense shows up here, and you're getting 3 touchdowns. I'll take the points with Mizzou.
You want to see a bromance, you get Ruffalo talking about Eli Drinkowitz. he looks for reasons to bring him up.
Look, okay, do not expose me, okay? That's one thing I ask is just do not expose me.
He's a groupie, follows him from school to school.
I've been drinking. Never mind. I'm not even going to go there. I was going to start drinking the Eli Kool-Aid, but that could totally be misconstrued. There's a couple I like here. It's not often Ron and I do this, but I'm on the other side of that UConn Liberty game. I like.
Oh, it's
UConn.
Often. You personally attacked me.
Well, I didn't attack you. You put yourself in the line of fire. It's self-imposed. I like UConn plus the points, mainly because it's at 14.5. If you got this at 13.5, you could maybe make an easier time. Have an easier time making the case for Liberty for me here. But no Day Hunter, just ruled out for the rest of the season for Liberty with a knee injury. And I do think that UConn's going to have issues moving the football up and down the field. But let's not forget, I think this is an underrated UConn defense. And I don't know, Liberty got in a bit of a sandwich spot. They face an in-state Power 5 rival in Virginia Tech next week. May not be, the same spot you expect it to be coming into the season. Virginia Tech hasn't been very good. I think it still means a lot to Liberty. So I'm going to lean towards UConn plus the points there. And I'm going to stick with LSU against Arkansas. I know it's a letdown spot for LSU after such a big win over Alabama last week in such emotional fashion, but I can't get there with Arkansas. This past defense for Arkansas has been absolutely atrocious. I just think LSU the better team on both sides of the ball. I'm going to take LSU, lay the points in that one.
I think Ohio State bounces back this week after that win game last week at Northwestern. That was like 7. It was like gale force winds at Northwestern, and I think Ohio State bounces back and whoops Tom Allen's Indiana team. I think Allen might actually get fired if they lose the Purdue game this year. I like Rutgers against Michigan State. I think that's going to be a low-scoring game. And what was the other one I was looking at there? It was Tennessee to bounce back against Missouri. I just think they're a more talented team. I don't think Missouri has a lot of options. But I do think Tennessee's probably bruised from that savage beating they took. Same score as the Monday Night Football Ravens-Saints game. Very similar game. Say it over and over again. Very similar game. Where the score was a lot closer than the actual game.
Yeah.
Georgia State against Louisiana Monroe, ULM. WKU against Rice. Houston against Temple. They're both playing hoops tomorrow. Not against each other, though. Houston, Villanova. Or Houston, St. Joe's. A different Philly team. And then it's Temple's playing Villanova. Arkansas State hosting UMass.
Uh-oh.
Minnesota 17.5 over Northwestern. So much for that 14-point loss to Ohio State. Marshall against App State. UTSA, La Tech. Air, may the force be with you, against New Mexico. Michigan against Nebraska. Oh, man. If we were doing videos, that would be one that we would love to skip. Did you get stuck on that one, Chris? Because I didn't see it on my list.
Michigan, Nebraska. Don't remember if I've done it. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, I got stuck with it.
You try and forget it happened.
Yeah.
Iowa versus Wisconsin. MTSU versus Charlotte. You get those 49ers away from Jerry Richardson Stadium. They're just a different team. Penn State against Maryland. Dead to me, Maryland. Absolutely dead to me. Dead to me. Ole Miss against Alabama. NC State against Boston College. Georgia Tech against Miami. Clemson, Louisville. Tulane, UCF. UAB, North Texas. Oklahoma State, Iowa State. Washington State. Arizona State. Troy versus Army. Ron.
Wow, it's a lot of 3:30 games.
There's a lot of games.
Yeah. I'm going to take Alabama on a bounce back spot here. Laying the points at Ole Miss. Disappointing loss last week in overtime, but they still outgained LSU by about 100 yards. Defense still getting a ton of pressure on the quarterback. Secondary's been strong. The offense not as strong as we've seen in years past from Bama, but they're still scoring 42 points per game. I think they're more than enough here to cover this less than 2 touchdown number. Because of that loss to LSU, we're getting a good price with the much better team, in my opinion. So I'll lay the points with Bama, even though the only worry would be they're pretty discouraged. Basically, no chance of making the college football playoff, but I still think they grab a win against a ranked opponent on the road. Spots I like, I'm leaning towards Iowa State and the points in that, or actually they're favorites in that one. I think Iowa State wins that one outright. I liked Iowa State secondary. Probably had their best game of the season last week against West Virginia. They were just strong on both sides of the ball. Didn't let West Virginia do anything offensively. And the offense started to get going. Hunter Dekkers is not my favorite quarterback, but still has a very good weapon in Xavier Hutchinson. He has 87 receptions and just under 1,000 receiving yards this season. I think he has another big day here. So I'll take the Cyclones. And then I'm also looking at the South Carolina Gamecocks Florida Gator game. I like the over in that one. And, it may be a little bit of a public play because of where we saw Florida last week in that 41-24 game against A&M. But I really don't like this Gators defense. They lost Brenton Cox Jr. for the season. He was dismissed from the program, one of their best defenders. And overall, we're seeing the Gators defense really struggle this year, struggling against the run. Their secondary's been miserable, and the offense is still putting up points and moving the ball well. So I think we see a high-scoring game in that one. So I'll take the over.
Chris?
Yeah, a couple I like here. I like New Mexico plus the points against Air Force. Air Force just hasn't been racking up the points like they were earlier on in the season. I know last week they played, against Army, so those service academy games are always going to be low scoring. They did put up just 14 points against Boise State, 14 points against Wyoming earlier this season. And while New Mexico, haven't been winning games, they've actually lost 6 straight coming into this one. They haven't been getting blown out in the majority of those games. They lost by 17 to Utah State. They lost by 12 to New Mexico State. And yeah, those are bad losses. But again, you're getting 21.5 against a team in Air Force that's going to use that option offense. They're going to chew up a lot of clock. And statistically, New Mexico, in the top half of the country in terms of, total defense, scoring defense, and defending the run. I think 21.5 just too many. I think this is maybe a 24-7 kind of game. So I like the points with Air Force in that one. And the other one I'm going to go Penn State laying the points against Maryland. I was critical of this Penn State team. I'm still not a huge fan of Sean Clifford, but you look, there's no denying the results for Penn State. The 2 losses have been to the 2 unbeatens in the Big Ten in Michigan and Ohio State. Everyone else, the Nittany Lions have been beaten by double digits. They went on the road. They beat Auburn by double digits. They beat Indiana at home by 31. Beat Minnesota at home by 28. So I got to go with Penn State at home for another double-digit win.
Well, one thing you're not going to hear from me is to justify that not getting blown out by New Mexico State is a good thing. To mark it as like, oh, I should take them. Well, they didn't get blown out by New Mexico State. So they only lost by 12 to New Mexico State. I mean, I think losing by 1 to New Mexico State is bad. I like Clemson against Louisville. I think they bounce back here at home. That's the worst I've seen Clemson play in a long time. Definitely under Dabo Swinney. I like Alabama to bounce back against Ole Miss as well. I think Ole Miss is just too one-dimensional on offense, and I think that plays right into Alabama's hands. I like Penn State against Maryland. Maryland is dead to me after last week's performance at Wisconsin. They didn't even get like a whiff of looking competitive. Not even a whiff. Anyways, I also take Michigan against Nebraska. I think Nebraska won't score a point in that game. UCF Tulane. UCF. Taking UCF every single week.
Yeah, I like UCF there too.
Like
Florida.
Tulane.
What?
I like Tulane.
Of course you do.
Because he didn't say he liked Tulane until after I said I liked UCF.
No, I was actually
this is personal.
Well, now it's personal against Gus Malzahn. Can't take the Knights on the road 3-5 since taking over at UCF on the road. 12-1 at home, but 3-5 on the road. Slightly personal. Ron, you forgot your board.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even talk about the UMass game.
I was so disappointed.
Yeah. All right. Where's UMass? All right. Let's see where they're at. They're on the road this week.
I thought there's don't use the.
Oh, yeah. Where are they? Oh, there they are. They're in Arkansas. yeah. But Arkansas State, I don't think should be laying 17.5 points against really any college football program, Division 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So UMass is getting 17.5 points. I mean, to me, it's
what do you think about justifying a pick based that they didn't get blown out by New Mexico State?
Oh Lord, here we go.
Yeah, no, I can't get there with that thought process.
All right.
Then what do you say about Hawaii, who did get blown out by New Mexico State?
I don't know. It's situational for me. I don't know. I just, for me, if you're going to cover by 21.5 points, you got to score more than 21.5 points. And I don't know. I'm just not seeing it with Air Force.
Well, Air Force's offense has been doing pretty good this year, no?
They won the Commander-in-Chief's trophy.
29 points per game. Yeah,
so 29 points per game. Even if Air Force or if New Mexico scores 10, I think that they sneak.
How do they get to 10 though?
Touchdown and field goal.
Arkansas State 17.5 over UMass.
Yeah, New Mexico's had under 300 yards in 7 of the last 8 weeks, and in that 1 week they had 319.
Rufalo's like Oh yeah, Lamar's in for a world of hurt this week.
I actually think I like Lamar on that one. Money line.
A lot of digits on that rotation number. A lot of digits.
And Lamar's pretty good.
1-8.
They have a tough strength of schedule. They got blown out by Prairie View.
Not the first, not the last.
It's the measuring stick.
They played SMU.
Yeah.
UTSA. Well, they played everybody. They must be moving up in conferences. Oh no, they're only showing on the one that I'm looking at. They're only showing games against Division I teams.
Yeah, they played at Abilene Christian, at SMU, then Northern Colorado, Northwestern State, Houston Christian, which used to be Houston Baptist, Incarnate Word, Prairie View A&M, Nicholls State, and Southeast Louisiana.
Nicholls State.
Not the strongest schedule.
It's a feisty Nicholls State team.
Yeah, they're a scrappy bunch.
Florida versus South Carolina, USA versus Texas State. I just caught that one. Oregon versus Washington, Baylor versus Kansas State, Colorado State versus Wyoming, FIU, FAU. Blood should be a battle there. Texas Tech against Kansas, Mississippi State against Georgia. Georgia, after the Tennessee game, has to travel all the way to Stark Vegas. Wake Forest against North Carolina. Texas versus TCU. Texas favored by a touchdown. That one. Coastal versus Southern Miss. Auburn versus Texas A&M. Syracuse versus Florida State. Oregon State Cal. Utah Stanford. UCLA Arizona. San Diego State San Jose State. And Nevada Boise. And Hawaii Utah State. Yuck, yuck, and more yuckage.
Yeah, this is a tough one. So Coastal Carolina is going to be out Grayson McCall, I believe, the rest of the season. So I don't really love their chances laying the points against Southern Miss. This is a good Southern Miss defense. They've been pretty good as the underdog in the underdog role as recent years, and I think they can cover that number. I think it'll be a low-scoring game overall. We see the total drop 6.5 points since the announcement to McCall. The backup quarterback's not a bad option for Coastal, but I still think they'll struggle to get anything going in the passing game. They're going to be more of a triple option team like they usually are, but even more so without McCall. So I'll take the points with Southern Miss. And it's a pretty gross afternoon, evening time slot, but I'm going to lean towards, let's see, I'm going to take Florida State laying the points at Syracuse. Syracuse, great start to the season, great story, but they've had a lot of injuries, especially to their skilled position players. The number one corner, the quarterback was not great last week, Del Rio Wilson. The offense just did not look good. And the offensive line's also really struggling lately. The last 3 weeks, they played some tough teams in terms of the defenses they faced, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Pittsburgh, but they all had at least 4 sacks in that one. Florida State, not as tenacious defensively, but I still think they've improved quite a bit from where they were last year. So I'll take Florida State. They've been scoring a ton of points this season. Give me the Seminoles laying the points.
Chris?
Yeah, there's a few I like here. I like the over between Washington and Oregon. Oregon's still keeping up the scoring, 44 points in each of their games since the loss to Georgia to start the year. I think Washington, they can get their share as well. I know it's 72.5, but I think it's this high for a reason. I think this game gets closer to 80 at the very least. So I like the over in that one. I also like Kansas plus the points against Texas Tech. I like Kansas on the money line. I'm really high on this Kansas team, 7-1-1 against the spread on the year. I don't even think you need the points. I think they go into Lubbock and beat Texas Tech. And I'm going to take TCU plus the points. I might put a little bit on the money line as well. I was on Texas against Kansas State and a bounce back, but I think TCU feels a little bit disrespected here. And people are saying, oh, well, Gary Patterson now a special assistant for Texas, and he's going to want to beat up on his old team. I think it's the same thing on the other side. I think these TCU players want to beat Texas to begin with, want to stick it to their old coach. And I think TCU, really good shot at winning this game outright. I think they know what this game means in terms of if they can win this game, probably be a good shot to clinch a spot in the national playoff. They can win out. So I got to go with TCU plus the points, put a little bit on the money line as well.
2 words, Auburn. like Auburn in this one against Texas A&M. I'm just going to continue to fade Texas A&M. And I like Kansas as well against Texas Tech, plus the points, though. I think you don't want to be going money line in Lubbock. I like Oregon against Washington. I think they whitewashed them. Michael Penix Jr. and Tom Allen maybe get fired in the same day. I like Arizona plus the points against UCLA. I like UCLA this year, but that's just too many. Arizona's not that bad.
You see the total on that one?
Yeah, it's 11 touchdowns and change. And I like San Jose State against San Diego State. No one wants to play Fresno right now. That's for sure. The Mountain West. Anyways, any other comments? Seems like it's a tough week of college football. It might be my shortest card of the week.
Yep.
Of the year. You know, like as far as picks go. I've generally been putting in like 3 early, 3 middle, 3 late, but I don't even know if I have that this week.
No, the late ones are really the tough ones, in my opinion. But we'll have to see.
Well, there's always the Shanghai Sharks. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. Make it a winning day. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll be back next week as we start to wind down college football season. Be sure to check out all of our videos. Chris and I doing NBA, college basketball, NFL, college football. Ron with his NFL rundown as well as his daily college basketball rundown. Tomorrow this should be a stellar one. Should be the best in show. Gonzaga, Michigan State. Who do you like, Ron?
You'll have to watch the bank shot breakdown to find out.
All right. I like Gonzaga.
Because I don't know right now. I haven't done my research.
I like Gonzaga. I'd lay 30.